Hi, welcome to the IBD and Ostomy Support Show. I'm Rachel and Louise isn't here tonight because Louise is not very well. Steve is coming on at 8:30 because he's watching the match. Steffi is at work and Natalie should be joining us in 10 minutes. So you have me and you have Chris joining us, who is the guest host today, and he's got an amazing story and is really inspiring. I think it'd be really great to hear, what he's been through and where he's come and how he's got through it and what he's doing now. So just really quickly, I will, what have I been up to this week? So this week I've been quite busy meeting people, but it's all been kind of self-help stuff. So I've been to the beach a lot this week. I think I've been nearly every day. I've been swimming in the sea, which is just so amazing. So I used to do like life saving and I used to swim a lot when I was younger. So it's nice just being in the water and just being connected again. So that has been really nice. Also yesterday I got nominated for the Diversity Awards, which is I'm really honoured and humbled and quite exciting. So hopefully that will be in the 14th of September. So I'll see what happens. So I'm taking my mum with me. And I've had some answers about some things that are a bit off with my bloods and getting checked with the GP and referrals. So all in all, I'm feeling much better mentally. I wasn't good last week. I had a bit of a cry, but on the show, but I'm feeling much better. I think I'm sort of out through the worst now. And this weekend I'm resting because I'm off to Exeter Monday and Tuesday to do talk to coloplast to some nurses and to talk about a research project. So yeah, so I'm going to rest then after that. But I think that's my week, and I'll hand you to Chris to see what he's been up to before he shares his story.
Oh, my week. Well, the key highlight of this week was I got signed off by my practice nurses. So my wound from my surgery is sufficiently healed, so I no longer have to have daily dressing changes, which has been a massive change. So kind of 9 months after the surgery, finally
daily dressings for 9 months.
The doctors.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard going, but I've been doing some gardening, been relaying a driveway, and test riding loads of motorbikes. It's been a fun weekend.
Have you bought your motorbike now?
I have. I bought it today. It gets delivered next week, so yeah, looking forward to that. I was hoping I would be able to get it before the weekend, so I could have a nice long ride with all my friends. But unfortunately, they can't get it to me till next week. So I'll have to. I'm sure my wife's going to come up with loads of other jobs for me to do over the weekend and up until it gets delivered. So
next week is going to be like Christmas when you get your bike.
Yeah, when it comes. Yeah, I had to wave goodbye to my old bike because I sold that, my little one. I was hoping I'd be able to get a new one straight away without a gap, but it's so relaxing riding a motorbike. You're so focused on the road and your surroundings, you forget all about what's wrong with you or what you're worrying about and things going on day to day. So you feel really chilled when you finish riding.
That's amazing. Is it? Did you pick the one that you did the pole on? Because I remember you doing a pole. Not that I know the different types of motorbikes.
I did do a pole. I'd narrowed my choice down to two: a Ducati and a BMW.
Okay.
I think everyone liked the look of the Ducati, and that got the highest score in the poll. But I went with the other one.
Did
you? Yeah. I test rode both, and the Ducati was horrible to ride.
Oh, was it? So it looked nice, but rode horribly.
Yeah, it looked lovely, and it sounded amazing. You could ride it past parked cars, and it would set the alarms off on them. It was so loud.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, once you got up to the speed limit, it started getting a bit wobbly and didn't feel very good. So I decided to go for the Beamer instead.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to see. I'm sure there'll be lots of pictures.
Yeah, there will
when
be.
You get it.
There will be, definitely. Bore everyone on Instagram.
Oh. Right, so if you don't mind just telling everybody a little bit about your story and how you got your stomas and how it made you feel, I think that'd be really great to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, definitely. So my journey all started in March of last year. I had no symptoms, but I just to kind of give you a bit of backstory. The previous year I'd had a mental breakdown and went through therapy and was on antidepressants. But the antidepressants themselves had some side effects, making you go to the loo more frequently, that sort of thing. And I was getting a bit fed up of those side effects, so I went to the doctors to just see if there was anything they could give me to counter them or change the antidepressants, because I said I was having troubles when I was going to the loo. And they checked me out and they said, well, I can feel something there. I'll send you for a colonoscopy. And so she said, I think it might be cancer.
Oh, she said it
Which
then.
sets the alarm bells. Yeah, straight away. She said she's almost positive, but she wants to check it out because it was very unusual. Sent me for a colonoscopy the same week, and then straight away they said, yeah, we're 99% sure. And then kind of everything just snowballed from there. It was a kind of a bizarre time where you're kind of waiting for appointments and trying to avoid reading stuff up on the internet, as we all do, to see what they might want to do. And then when I eventually met the consultant, after my various scans and things, they said, yeah, we can see that you've got a large tumour in your colon, and we're going to need to do an operation. Initially they said it will be probably a temporary stoma, and worst case they'll have to do an abdominal perineal resection, like a Barbie butt, as we like to call it.
Or a Ken butt.
Or a Ken butt, yeah. So I was all scheduled for that. And then what did they give me? I went through, so before they did surgery, I had 6 weeks of daily radio and chemo, just to try and shrink everything down, which was, at the time, I thought was horrendous. It just got worse and worse as every day went on. You just get more and more ill. It hurts more and more. And then when I finished in kind of late May, early June, there's like an 8-week period where you have to wait until everything's kind of healed and the swelling goes down, and then they can do another scan to check and see if it's worked or not, ahead of the surgery. And then when they redid the scans to plan the surgery, they called me into a little side room and said, I'm really sorry, but we've actually found cancer now on both your prostate and your bladder. So our only course of action is to do a full pelvic extentuation and just take everything out, and you'll have to have a permanent ileostomy and urostomy, which was I'd only just kind of got my head around having a temporary stoma, and what was the worst case at the time, having my anus and rectum removed. You kind of get your head around that, and then all of a sudden you're having everything taken away, and you're going to have these two bags for life. So that took some time to kind of settle in and get used to. But at the end of the day, that's without it and without that operation,
you wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here. No. So it was, I mean, the surgery itself was seemed to go okay. I think it was 11 and a half hours in surgery. Had a few complications when they were doing my bladder. I was in critical care for 4 days while they sorted my blood pressure and stuff out. I think the worst bit was when they removed my epidural, and that's when the pain hits you,
Yeah.
and that's just my body went into shock then. It was probably the worst. That was probably the worst time for the wife and family, because that's when they were told, because they didn't know I was in shock. I was all over the place, couldn't speak, kind of fitting, and
Oh wow.
they basically said, prepared my wife to get a call in the middle of the night, so she kind of had to go to sleep fully dressed in case she got the call. It was going to be, is the last chance you're going to see him.
Wow.
But I pulled through that. I spent a week in high dependency until they kind of got me sorted and up on my feet. And then it was about another week and a half on the colorectal ward. And then they sent me home. And I've just spent the last, I suppose, 8-9 months just healing from there. The kind of surgical wound for the stomas, and where they did the incision from basically my sternum right down to my groin, that healed up in like 2 weeks. That was dead quick. But because of the radiotherapy, the wound for the Ken butt just has been an absolute nightmare to heal. It's been the most frustrating, most painful, most debilitating thing I think I've ever had to go through.
You had to have the vac machine, didn't you?
Yeah, because initially, when I was in hospital, and then the first 3 weeks, I basically had no real dressings. They just left it open.
Right.
So that was, I basically had to sleep on puppy pads. So things you like house train your dogs with to soak it all up. So I had to sleep on those.
Right.
Wear like men's tenor underwear, because of the exudate and everything coming out of the wound. There was just so much, and the smell was absolutely horrendous. Just I was getting infections and all sorts, and it wasn't really closing up. And then one of the district nurses, who was absolutely, this is unacceptable, we need to get something sorted. They'd mentioned the vac at the hospital, but they didn't send me home with one because they hadn't got the histology results back.
Right.
They until they've got proof that there's kind of no cancerous cells, they can't give you a vac in case it draws cancerous cells elsewhere around the body. But once
I didn't know that. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why, because you've got such a large cavity. If they were to apply a vacuum pump,
yeah, that makes sense.
Just it can make it cause more problems and spread. So once I did get the vac, it took quite a long time for the district nursing team to get it under control and use the right combination of the right pressure setting and dressing technique. They got a lot of help from the Smith and Nephew representatives who make the pumps. There's quite, certainly in the Wirral, and I think looking at various forums as well that we're on, there seems to be a big lack of understanding in general nursing, I think, in how to deal with wounds like that. And I think a lot of people find it difficult to get the vac administered as well, which is unfortunate.
There's quite a few people at the moment that I know that are having problematic Barbie butts and Ken butts. You know, I think one lady in particular, I think 18 months, you know, she's been and the VAC and I'm not sure she's off it now, but it's just not really healing. And the plastic surgery has been talked about, and it must be really hard. Like the only thing I've had problems with my wound is I had cellulitis in my scar, because I've had, with my prolapses, I've had 8 refractions for the ileostomy, and I had cellulitis and it just ate up the whole scar, and I had like an open wound that had to be dressed and had to be packed and everything. But I haven't had that experience, you know, especially where it is. It must be painful because you sit down, you stand up, you move your legs.
Yeah, it's one of those that you can't. Well, it's like, I mean, like toothache or earache, you can't escape from it. And then when you're spending most of your time, because you're too weak, I was too weak to kind of walk anywhere, so you're always you're always on it, and that's what makes it difficult. But they tried loads of different techniques, like with different packing materials, and dressings around the packing as well. But the one that ended up working was a foam, like quite a dense grey foam. And to give you an idea of the size, when they initially were using that, which was kind of December, it was the size of my hand, was the size of the foam that was going in. So my wound was 22, 23 centimeters deep and
Wow.
12 centimeters wide. They physically didn't have a probe
Oh my gosh.
long enough to measure it. My district nurse at the time, she actually, to see where the bottom of the wound was, she put her whole hand inside me. So that's how deep it was. And then so they had to pack it with quite a lot. So with the vac pump, you need to get to the base of the wound. If you don't get to the base of the wound with the packing, then exudate pools and it won't close from the bottom up. That's what took the time. Once they got the technique sorted, it started healing and closing really quickly. But the problems I had at the start was because it wasn't being packed right to the base.
Right.
So we did find a technique that worked. But there were other complications on the way. But I'm sorted now. I've been off the vac pump for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. And as I said, Monday I got rid of seeing nurses altogether and getting my backside out for all and sundry.
Wow. So you're gonna have a little party, like a wound healing party.
Yeah, well, we're going on holiday in July, so that's kind of going to be the reward for it all.
And tell everybody where you're going.
We're going to Florida.
Amazing.
For 3 weeks.
I think
can't wait.
You're so amazing, because it hasn't even been a year yet, Chris, has it? Since your surgery?
No, it's not.
And look at what you're doing, and going to America, and later talking about the sport that you're doing, and it's just, I think it's amazing, and it shows that sometimes when you think it's all too much and you can't do it, your body, we're quite, as human beings, we're quite resilient. I think we have got inner strength sometimes that can surprise the best of us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, one of the things I'm very grateful for is my mental health issues that I had previously, because I learned a lot about myself. I became much more self-aware of kind of your mood and how you're thinking and how to process the thoughts that go through your head. And I became much better at being able to deal with and cope with stuff. So had I not gone through that experience and kind of learned all the techniques to deal with that, I don't know how I would have dealt with the diagnosis and then everything kind of getting worse and worse, and then kind of how it affects you. Because, you know, when you're in pain and you can't walk and you're depending on other people to kind of get you up and dressed and cleaned, or you're having to wear nappies down the shops as a grown man, it's just so demoralizing and humiliating at times. But you get over it, you get on with it.
I liked what you said about the kind of, I very much believe in everything happens for a reason. I really do. I think it's almost like because you had those techniques, it's able to you to get to the point where you are now. And sometimes we don't, at the time we may not know why something's happening, but actually later down the line it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had some really low points, and I still have them now, and kind of just dealing with the stomas. I mean, because of the wound, the stomas didn't bother me at all whilst I was healing, because they weren't my focus. I just kind of got on with them and kind of changed them when I needed to. It was my wound that would cause me the most problems. And I had some really low points in kind of December, January, and because I'd experienced them before, I could recognize it and, could go and see my doctor straight away to get sorted. And
That's really good.
the help that I needed. Whereas I think it's very common, people after major surgery, to experience depression, and if they've not had it before, they're not necessarily recognise it or know what to do.
We've talked about quite a lot on the show, and also I think advocates have talked about how there needs to be a big push. And I know there has been some case studies about offering counselling to when you've had major surgery, especially when you have surgery that changes your body shape. And I think it's either counselling or CBT or having some sort of support, because many people will struggle and not recognise exactly what you said, that it is depression or that it is a reactive depression because of what they've been through, and sometimes need that kind of connection and need to speak to somebody, because you're trying to, for me, it feels like I'm juggling 5 million balls. I don't like seeing my family upset, seeing me how poorly I am, but then, and you're trying to juggle it, and then you just drop all the balls. You can't juggle it anymore.
Yeah, that's it, definitely. I think there really needs to be. I think CBT works really well, but even just talking therapies or speaking to people. I remember the conversation I had. It was just whilst I was waiting to be admitted for the surgery. It was kind of in a waiting area outside the ward, and there was a young woman there who had, I think she'd had ulcerative colitis, and so she'd had an ileostomy put in, and she was having her Barbie butt operation, and she asked me what I was going in for, and we sat and chatted for about half an hour, and I kind of got to ask her all sorts of questions about what it was like living with the bag, how she dealt with it, what it felt like, and I think she was given an opportunity to have it reversed, and she said, "No, I'd prefer to keep it." And she said, "It's brilliant. I can do everything I want to do. I have no issues. It's easy to get on with." And it was so reassuring to see her so positive. It just kind of allayed any fears that I was having at the time. So it was, I was kind of went in to the ward, and I wasn't really that bothered about what was to come. I kind of thought, she's got on with it, she's having fun with it, then that's great. So I think things like that. I think this forum, the other forums that we're kind of members on, they're really, really good. But just I think having the opportunity to talk to people maybe before you go in for surgery to get their view on what life is like afterwards would be really helpful for people.
I agree, and it's the face to face. For me, when I first had my ileostomy in 2012, I was on the ward, and I was 24, 25, and there was somebody younger on there. And before then, bearing in mind I worked in radiotherapy and oncology, so when you said about your treatment before, I used to give the treatment. That was my job before I got ill, was radiotherapy. And now I'm so shocked about how many people get stomas due to radiotherapy damage. And for me, it's a huge insight, because we were never taught really the long-term side effects, and the fact that it makes sense that the wound isn't going to heal. But when I did the radiotherapy, I've totally lost my trail of thought. It's gone. Oh, Chris, what was I talking about before? Oh, it's gone.
talking to people beforehand.
Oh, yeah. And then on the ward, I flipped back. And then when I was on the ward, um, I I've seen lots of people with like pelvic exenteration, and I've seen people with stomas. But when it came to myself, I didn't want to know anything about the stoma, and it really shocked me. I thought I would want to know everything, and I didn't want to know anything. So when this lady came and spoke to me on the ward, and she had the ileostomy, I actually listened, and she taught me to name it, and it was like the best thing I could ever have had. Like, I didn't want anybody to talk to me about it. And then this lady, like, she was like a beacon of hope, walked in, and she was on the ward with me. And it just, there's something so special about identification, but it's great having it online, and it's a really good source. But I think it's combined with meeting people face to face as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably too much information on the internet. That's what I tried to do with my blog, was to put reliable links on to decent sources of information, that you can get the right advice either through Macmillan or Bowel Cancer UK, things like that, where you know the information is good. But I mean, I'd kind of personified the cancer when my foot was first diagnosed. So he was called Colin. So the whole premise, was kind of, we've got to get rid of Colin. And now my stomas are named Donald and Teresa. So they kind of get that personification.
I love those names.
But I mean, in terms of research, I mean, I bizarrely, I kind of researched the surgery. I read through a surgical guide on the actual medical documentation on the procedure. I watched some videos on YouTube.
Me too. I watched before my urostomy one in 2015. The day before, I watched surgery on bladder being removed and the ileoconduit being formed. And the nurses thought I was crazy, but I was fascinated. So I get that. I was fascinated.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that.
I'm glad it's not just me.
No, it's not just you. It was quite funny because they do the incision at the front, and then when they have to kind of flip you over to do the Ken butt. I remember saying to the anaesthetist and the nurses, because I'm a big guy, I'm 6'4", I weigh 120 kilos. I said to the nurses when I was having my epidural, I said, right, so which unlucky bugger gets to roll me over then? I think they had to draft in some extra people to wrestle me over. But yeah, that's kind of how my brain worked. I wanted to know what they were going to be doing to me and inside me and everything. But it's not for the faint-hearted. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody.
No, I think it's it's not. But for me, it's been life-changing, and not just in respect of it's saved my life, but it's been life-changing in what it's given me. Like, it's given me a purpose, friends, like a sort of career, and I feel like I'm sort of living again. And then it's got me Steve, and it's been a knock-on effect that I never thought. I thought having my life back would be what would give me, but it's given me so much more than that. And it's given me, I think, more than that, it's purpose and friendship.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk for people that maybe have colitis and Crohn's and things like that, who've had to live with it for years and years. That must be just so difficult to live with. I mean, I was given a diagnosis and was treated very quickly, and being lucky not to have really any symptoms. So I didn't have a poor quality of life beforehand. But the term life-changing, I prefer to use life-affirming rather than life-changing, because it's given me a new perspective on life. There are things that I hadn't done before that I want to do now. Whereas before I might let things go or silly little things like someone bumps into your car in the supermarket. Before, I probably just let that go, and then I'd stew on that for days and days and days. Whereas now I just think, bollocks to it. I'm gonna have a go. I'm gonna tell someone. I don't don't take much messing now because I'm thinking life's too short. I just do what I want to do, and enjoy every moment that I've got.
I think you're right. I think sometimes it's hard when you've been poorly before and you have the surgery and you can see the difference. That's great in a way, but when you've like just been diagnosed with cancer, you might not have many symptoms, or the symptoms are very limited, and you start treatment and chemo, radiotherapy, hormone therapy, whatever you're on, then makes you poorly, and then you have the surgery, and then you've gone from being healthy, having cancer, having treatment, having stomas. I think that's quite hard mentally to adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, the week of when I was diagnosed, I was playing rugby at my friends. At the gym, I was probably the fittest, healthiest I'd been in years. I felt really, really good, and like you say, that whole treatment just made me feel awful. It was just kind of the most ill I've ever been, and it wasn't the cancer doing that. It was the actual treatment. But now I'm out the other side, and I'm back to feeling good and back to playing rugby again, and out on a motorbike and pretty much doing everything I was doing before.
So tell us a little bit about the rugby.
Well, I've been playing since I was 15. It's something I've always done. But when I got the diagnosis and was told I was having radio and chemo, I had to stop. I couldn't risk kind of getting any injuries or infections or anything like that. But I vowed to myself and to my team and all my mates that I would be back before the end of the season. So it was touch and go whether I would achieve that, but I was able to make the last game of this year's season in May this year, and I was only initially planning to play about 5 minutes, but I ended up playing 20 minutes.
Wow.
And
I remember that picture that you put up. It was like
it was so emotional. I mean, even before the game, even just thinking about playing rugby and getting back on the field, it's like well up. It was just so emotive in getting back on the field. And I mean, I don't play a particularly high quality of rugby. I play like thirds and fourth team, but so we had our first team out. They play in National League rugby.
Yeah.
So they were out playing on one pitch. We were on the pitch next door, but we had more spectators on our pitch. Everyone coming to watch me get back on the pitch, and it was lots of tears, but it was great to get back.
Oh, that's amazing. So Natalie, this is Chris, and Chris, this is Natalie.
Hi, Natalie. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Did you get on okay? I couldn't read all the messages because too many screens.
I got home and my internet was just decided not to work, so I've had to fiddle about and reset it and all sorts. I'm in a bad mood now.
Oh no! So Chris was just talking about his story and just saying about his but that he's played rugby after. Is it nine months your surgery, or is it longer than that? That's the wound.
No, so I had my surgery end of September, and I played rugby on the 14th of May. So what's that?
About 8.5 months.
Yeah, that's amazing.
8 months.
That's really good.
Thanks to my Comfizz stoma guards.
I was going to say, do you have to wear anything to play?
Yeah, I did a lot of research. There's loads of kind of different little devices and things out there, but it seems to be a lot based in the States. You can custom make them, but majority of they all seem to just, you either say you got it left side or right side. It's like there's never any options to select both.
I know. This is what I've been saying all along. There's never, and there isn't one designed for both, because Ostomy Armour, they're quite. Did you look at them? They're quite expensive. We're like $200.
No, it's really expensive, but yeah. So in the end, I saw the Comfys ones, and I'd spoken to them. So I got 2 of those, and they work really well. You get like a little neoprene pad with a circle that kind of goes around each stoma, and then a rigid plastic cover which velcros onto the pad, and then I wear either like a what do they call them?
Vest or
Vest,
boxes?
yeah. Wear a vest or just an ordinary kind of tight sports top over the top, just to kind of keep everything in place.
That's great.
But yeah, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I think the first game, I thought I might be a bit reticent to go in for tackles, but I played it like I played it before. I went in 100%. I had people swinging off them, and they stayed in place. It was fine.
Wow.
Absolutely no problem at all.
And so what are you doing on the 21st of July?
So the 21st, I am playing rugby league. Different type of rugby to I'm used to playing. But we're playing down in Gillingham in Kent in the National Masters League for Colostomy UK, which is going to be a team made up of, I think, predominantly all people with stoma of some kind.
Hi, Steve.
Chris.
Steve, Chris.
Hey, that's right, girls. How you doing, mate? You all right, fella?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I've been watching it. I've had the England on, yeah, and to be fair, I've watched more of this than I have of the game, because the game's been pretty shocking, this shit, to be fair. So I thought, right, I've got 20 minutes left, and there's 10 minutes left of the game, and you watch some score now. So,
Probably.
It's on in the background. Anyway, it's nice to meet you. I've heard loads about you, fella. I've just been listening to your story. Quite a journey you've been on in such a short time, really, isn't it?
It has, yeah. It's been.
What I wanted to ask you was, because I missed the very, very start, was how did you first? What alerted you to go to your GP? Like something was wrong.
It was what I thought was side effects from some antidepressants I was taking. They basically just made me go to the loo more frequently. That's what prompted me to go to the GP to get that sorted. I had noticed kind of some blood, but I thought that was just being irritated from having to go to the loo so often. But it was only that's all that I wanted to kind of get that sorted and see if there was either a different medication I could take or something to counter those side effects.
And was that the start of the prostate cancer?
Yeah.
Wow. So you could have, a lot of blokes out there, myself included, ignored bleeding from the rectum for months and months. I just, I thought I've got piles. I'd had piles, and it wasn't until I used to have accidents and cough that I thought, well, I've got to get something done now. But so probably that early diagnosis from yourself probably made all the difference.
Yeah. And it's a good job that I did, because at the time when they checked it, it was initially I was diagnosed with stage 3, so it was in kind of 8 or 12 lymph nodes outside of the.
Okay, so it moved quite far then.
Yeah, but after further scans, it was in my bladder and my prostate and my rectum, so it was stage 4 at the end of it, but quite localized.
Because it was bowel cancer originally, wasn't it? And because Chris said earlier, he had a pelvic accentuation. I can never say the last bit. And it's where, in the end, it all had to be removed. So the prostate, the bladder, and the rectum, and it all gone with the two stomas.
Was the bowel the first to go?
It all went out at the same time.
All in the same time. Wow, that's quite a lot to come to terms with psychologically, isn't it? I mean,
it was. I mean, the initial kind of what they told me was going to happen was just like a temporary stoma, and worst case it would be the removal of my anus and rectum. But then, after the scans, after my radio and chemo, that's when they said, actually, now we've looked at it in more detail ahead of the surgery, we can see that it's here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So the only thing we can do is to take everything out.
Wow. So it's kind of like you didn't have time to really get your head around it. It's a case of everything all at once.
No, yeah.
That's
Pretty much what it was like, Steve. It was so quick. It was just, I say quick. It was quick in terms of time, but when you're sitting waiting for appointments
course.
and surgery dates, just time seems to slow down.
Yeah. Oh my God. What? Okay. You know the Confi's Shield.
Yes.
Now I when I was about to do my boxing match, I borrowed. Well, I was given a number of shields from different people, and I punched them, and they snapped. And in the end, the only thing that would cover my hernia, because it's like a I don't know, probably like a 34 bust. Now was you see that hard cap? This hard cap here. I took the innards out.
Oh, Chris is gone.
Oh no. Is he gone? Come on, Chris.
Let me message him.
The internet is not our friend tonight.
Thank you for coming on, guys.
That's all right. Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry. I just messaged Chris, so hopefully he can come back because I got a few messages, questions.
I was going to say there's some questions on the live chat.
Yeah.
Where is the live chat? I've never been able to find that, you know.
You put YouTube on.
Yeah.
It's just next to the screen, but you have to mute because that's why sometimes you can hear us talking because somebody's not muted.
Right. So put that on my laptop and put my phone on with the
you can
live.
do, yeah.
Okay.
But you can pop it out as well, so you can just have. Like, I've just got the chat now, and I've turned YouTube off, so we can't hear ourselves.
Right,
I'll show you.
Chris just saying he's dropped. Wait until he's on because you can show him when he's on. Because
Okay. No, you did well. You did well. It's hard. I wouldn't have been happy just two talking.
For 30 minutes, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm glad you guys come on
it's
now.
a good job. Good job. He's a good talker, really, isn't it? if I'd have been chatting to him, it'd have just been me staring at the screen for like 10, 12 minutes.
Those uncomfortable silences where
No. I like them silences. They're the comfortable
You like
ones.
them, yeah.
Yeah, I like them.
do you two want to tell everybody what you've been up to while we're waiting for Chris to come back on?
Do you want to go first, Nat?
Okay. Well, I've been up in Halifax at Steve's all week. I was due to go to London at the start of the week for a couple of days, and I was really, really gutted that I couldn't go, but I got a really bad ear infection, which still is better than it was, to be fair, but I think I'm going to have to go to the doctors to get something to clear it up because the drops and stuff that I've got just aren't shifting it completely. So it's been a bit of a quiet one, really. I've just sort of been trying to get over that. The reason I was going to London was because Riley had his Great Ormond Street appointment for his kidney condition. He's got hydronephrosis in both his kidneys, which means basically the tubes between his kidneys and his bladders are too big. And it can be for a variety of different reasons. His is everything's been ruled out. He was just born like that, basically. But it can increase the risk of UTIs and stuff because they're so big. The fluid goes through them slower, so he has to always stay really well hydrated, and we have to give him like the yogurt things that have got the bioactive or whatever it is in them.
Yeah. How old's he? No.
He's 6. So they actually found it on a when I was scanned when I was pregnant.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. That was when they first spotted it. So we were prepared, like at the birth there was a paediatrician waiting to check him over and everything, and we had to like catch his first wee. He didn't wee for absolutely ages and ages and ages, and we had to try and catch this newborn baby's first wee so they could He was on antibiotics for 2 years when he was born, because obviously if he'd have caught a UTI as a baby that can be quite dangerous, so he had to have is it probiotics? No,
sorry.
prophylaxis. It's
Prophylactic antibiotics.
to like prevent it from happening rather than it being to use to treat. But he went and had his scan on Tuesday, but his doctor had a family emergency, so he didn't end up seeing her in the end. But they're going to get back in touch so we can just go and get the results of the scan. But he's on 2-year recalls now, so he's doing really well.
Oh, that's brilliant.
He absolutely loved it because this one was the first one he's ever sort of taken an interest in and watched it on the screen, and he was watching his blood apparently go through his kidneys. And then he obviously got to go on the train to London and all that, so that was all exciting. But yeah, other than that, I've just been chilling and trying to get rid of this baddie. But anyway, Steve can.
Well, I'll do
Chris
my
is
brief
back.
intro. Hi, Chris again. Welcome back.
Oh, it's back.
What have I done this week? It was I had the kids the weekend. Monday, my oldest lad was 21, so I didn't really see him. Well, I seen him briefly to give him his presents and stuff.
You don't look old enough, Steve. You don't look old
I know.
enough.
Thank you, mate. Nice one. I had a blockage. I went to work. I had a blockage like Sunday night. No, sorry. Was it Monday morning from Tuesday till Tuesday sort of morning. Went to work Tuesday morning. I was in agony, but I hadn't eaten anything untoward. I had a packet of nuts in here. Natalie always mentions the nuts, but I hadn't even opened them, and I had a blockage, and it was horrific. It was so painful. Went to hospital. They just literally just examined me, gave me paracetamol, and what else was it? What is it they give me now?
Steve, you're on your side.
That's it. I'm back again.
You're back.
I don't know
You're
what
back
happened
again.
then. Don't know what happened. What's the tablets they gave, the antispasmodic ones?
Buscopan.
That's it. They gave me Buscopan. Didn't really help, but it cleared itself while I was at the hospital. I mean, I was there all day, and it was a scorcher of a day. I could have done with being in the park or something. And then yesterday I got up. I was really sore. I got up for work, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to bother. I had a day off and just chilled, really.
Take it out of you, though, can't it?
Yeah, I don't know what was the cause though, but I got to speak to the surgical team, and he felt around. He said, because the hernia, he pushed it right back in because the hernia was soft behind. He said there's no strangulation there, so that's good. And that's pretty much it. To be fair, I haven't really done that much. I've just been working and doing the usual. Anyway, Chris, the cap. Yeah, I took the centre out of the cap. In the centre, yeah, like that. And I took the sides out. These two sides here, I snapped them off, so I'm left with just a curve, which is the perfect curve of my hernia. I shaved it down, and I sewed it into a vanilla blush compression vest. My doctor, she didn't okay it. She said to me, if you can prove that you're going to be wearing some protection over your abdomen, then I will do you a letter. And I gave her full support, and the box comes up to your waist. That covers my hernia, and she okayed it. The Boxing Association okayed it, and I boxed, and I trained for 8 weeks with it. It was brilliant. I got hit in it loads of times, like a box that covers your groin. It doesn't hurt your groin, but it hurts around your groin. So you get hurt anyway. It's the nature of the sport. Like rugby, rugby's a proper sort of tough sport where you get knocks. So I wouldn't trust them little. They were tiny. The ones that I looked online, they were like $285. The shields, and they were tiny. They were like a little. I don't know, like a little Wonder Bra sitting on a massive boob. They were just covering the inside, and that was it. Literally
just covering like the stoma.
Yeah. So I thought I'd make my own, and that's a future blog. That is when I learn how to blog.
Well, I'm interested in signing up for that white collar boxing.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Get on it. You know what?
He's gone again.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
I knew
Sorry,
I knew you two would get on. I knew you two would connect with the sport. Yay.
Here he is, back again. Come on, Chris. Where are you? No, it's one of them, isn't it? You know,
There he is.
There I am.
you keep disappearing. Like,
I know, connection's terrible.
is it? Go for it. The boxing. You know what? I trained for 8 weeks and I got hit loads of times in the stomach. And during my actual fight itself, he didn't hit me once in the stomach. I got hit in the nose about 1,000 times. But you know what? I told my trainer, and that was it. I didn't tell no one in the gym because I wanted to spar. I didn't want people to not hit me or to apologise after they hit you, because that's not a fight. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to lose properly, not just with help. But now go for it. And you know what? It's all about confidence. You've got confidence in abundance. I can see that. And that's because you decide that you're not going to let it get you down. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm all up for doing things now just to prove that I can. Things that I probably wouldn't have considered doing before the surgery. Now I just want to give it all a go.
Yeah,
Amazing.
You only got one crack at it, don't you?
I think, I was going to say, it sort of gives you a new lease of life, doesn't it? And you realise you've got to make the most of it and take every opportunity.
Absolutely. So, well
have you mentioned, Rachel, have you mentioned your big news this week?
Oh, yes, I have, yeah.
Oh, you have. That's all right. It's just because Vicky said congratulations, and I was like, I want to make sure she said.
Oh, yeah, no, I did say it. Oh, hi, Vicky. Hi, everybody. Right, there's some questions for you, Chris. I just need to go back up. So, okay, they said about the butt party. You know, we talked about with the thing. They said you need a butt party, and then Graham's put, does Chris change his both bags on the same day? Do you change them at the same time?
No. To be fair, my urostomy lasts a lot longer.
Mine does as well. Mine's like 7 days.
Oh,
and you can't cross-contaminate. Come on, girl.
But I don't do mine at the same time.
My ileostomy, that is just has a mind of its own. It can be once, twice a day, or once every 4 days. I don't know what it is, whether what I've been doing, what I've been eating. Sometimes they stick really well, sometimes they don't.
What bags do you use?
The Coloplast Mio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention last week. Our film came out last week, didn't it?
It did.
It did.
What was I going to ask you?
We'll have to share it on the make sure it's shared on this show page. Ooh, that was
Chris, your story of the packing petrified me. I've been kind of ignorant. Yeah, I'm having my total proctectomy on my Ken butt.
Yeah.
September 13th. So about 77 days. Not that I'm counting. and I'm kind of like I go into these things just positive, but not really knowing that much about it. Although I've spoke to lots of people with them.
Yeah.
I've done my homework with recovery and stuff, but actually I leave the surgery to the professionals. But your story of the packing and the hand and that, it's shit, scared the shit out of me, to be fair, mate.
Do you know what, Steve? I've seen 2 people recently that have had them, and I'm worried because at some point I will have to have it taken all away. And it does worry me about the recovery for that one. I think it's harder than the ileostomy recovery and all that. But 2 people I know that have had the surgery in the last month, including Jamie, who watches the show, and I think he was messaging us last week, they've just done amazing. They've just up and got on with it, and it's like, whoa.
I think
I plan to not sit down for about 2 years, just stand up and that's it.
I think one thing to bear in mind for me, I'd had 6 weeks of intense radiotherapy in the same area. So that was a factor in how long it took to heal.
Right. Does that really hinder, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because all
hugely.
the tissue's damaged.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Now, I think I was given the option initially of having like a plastic surgery and like a skin graft flap. I think that didn't happen. So actually, whilst my recovery has taken a long time and it's, you know, had its ups and downs, to look at my backside now, you wouldn't know. It looks perfectly normal.
Really?
Feels perfectly normal. Like the inside of it feels a bit like that bit of your lip, the inside of your lip.
Yeah.
How weird.
Everyone's doing that with their lip now.
But you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
How old are you, Chris, if you don't mind me asking?
42.
42. I mean, that's a really good recovery, that is, you know.
They're saying it was what, like 8.5 months till you were back on the rugby pitch.
Yeah.
And having all that as well.
Yeah, I was. To be fair, I was up walking around. As soon as I got out of critical care, when I was in high dependency, the physiotherapist got me up and about, and even with the kind of open wound and everything like that, I was walking up and down stairs and going along the corridor and everything. It was kind of just the time it took to sort out how to correctly dress it and get everything done. Once that was sorted, the healing process was really quick.
Yeah.
Much quicker. So I think, you know, if you get the right people on it, I think there's so many different things kind of that went wrong with me because poor discharge, adequate notes not being sent to district nurses not really knowing what to do, not applied a vac wound to that area before. There was
a big learning curve.
Everyone was learning, and it was loads of trial and error. Had I stayed in the ward over at the Royal, maybe another week until their wound specialist and they had applied the vac, it might have been a completely different story.
Really?
If I'd stayed on the colorectal ward, then, you know, I think it would have been much better. But I just wanted to get out of hospital as quick as I could. I think so. Some of it's down to me wanting to get out, but, you know, the notes and everything going over, and people really not knowing what to do was a big factor. It's one of the reasons why I've kind of had meetings with the CQC in the Wirral Care and Quality Commission to try and get training improved in the area for wound care for my kind of wound, so it doesn't happen to someone else.
That's really good.
Well done.
I think that's really important because it's like finding the gap on what in your care to improve it for other people. And I think that's super important because as much as all our advocates, we all have our little crusades. You know, we all have, like, Chris, you have yours with the wound, and we all have our little ones that, you know, mine with the prolapse and the urostomies. We all have our little crusades, and I think it's through the experience that you get to then make sure it's either somebody else goes through it's a little bit better. It's like Natalie with the arthritis and being diagnosed at a young age. You know, you're very passionate about that people can forget that young children can be diagnosed with arthritis.
You wouldn't think, would you?
No.
God, no.
It's really unusual. I've had so many doctors that come in and they're like, "Oh, when were you diagnosed?" And when I say 15 months, they're like, "What?" And then it's like they'll sit there. It's not the norm, is it? No.
But it's your norm.
No, but it is. It's all I've ever known, and because obviously I was at hospital as a child for so long, I knew other people with it as well. So to me, it wasn't completely weird. But
yeah,
I mean, it is. There was stats. I don't know whether the stats are still the same, but I know it was when I was younger, 15,000 children have arthritis in the UK,
Wow.
which is quite a lot.
That's a lot, but it's almost like arthritis. It's what's it called? Ageist. Like there's still discrimination. I guess with the word arthritis.
Yeah,
That's always been the case with ostomy bags, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
It's always
it. A lot of it is. It's always been known as something that people with cancer get, and often, normally, that would be at a later age, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, things happen for a reason. You know, Chris finding out when you did, going to the doctor when you did. You know, if you wouldn't have spotted that, or if you'd have been ignorant to it, who knows what would have happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the surprising things that I found out is from a bowel cancer, it takes years and years to form to get to the size mine was. So I'd probably had it for 10 years at least.
Wow.
With no symptoms or signs.
And do you have regular testing now, or?
Yeah, blood tests every 3 months to check for protein markers.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of annual scans.
I know there's been a question about checking the prostate when you've had Kenbutt surgery.
I asked this a couple of weeks back.
I was going to say, I'd been talking, I
Blood
don't know whether it was just I'd been talking to it about, but you can't check it, can you? If
blood tests, that's the only way they can.
PSA levels and scans if you have the prostate.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what they'd have to go and yeah, because
I got mine checked out before, and I thought, you know, now's the time to do it before I have the surgery. Like, but they said no, it can still be checked. It's just a different route. You know, Rachel gave me the information about the blood test because I didn't have a clue. Knowledge
is it true
power,
that you can take a pregnancy test as well?
I'm not taking one, if that's what you mean.
What?
But isn't that true?
Belly.
Apparently, if a man takes a pregnancy test and it comes up positive, that indicates a problem with the prostate.
Really?
I never hear that.
That's what I've heard. Because obviously men don't produce pregnancy hormones, but yeah, I don't know whether that's true or not. Don't take my word for it, but everybody with Kenbutts and
I'm going to go out and buy one tomorrow now.
We're going through there's a stage at the moment with one of the urostomy groups where loads of ladies are getting false positives and it's been soul destroying for them, pregnancy tests, trying to get information and actually scientific information as to why that's the case. So I had a pregnancy test here that I did before I went into hospital, just because the girls were struggling. They were having like false positives and mine was negative. So I don't know if it's because it's a piece of bowel, whether the mucus in it changes it, or whether that's
incorrect.
That whatever it's called, the antibody that's attached to it. But how come it is for some and not others? Because mine was negative, but there's a few girls at the moment they want to have children and it is soul destroying. But yeah. Vicky, if she's still watching, Vicky told me that I can't remember her name now, in London, really good woman, I can't remember her name, but she said that it's important for females to get blood test pregnancies because you can't guarantee. With the urostomy, you will get some false negatives and false positives. So but that must be quite hard because if you do a blood test, you think either you're really scared or you really want to get pregnant. That's quite that must be very hard emotionally to deal with. And I think there isn't as much
information,
kind of knowledge about that.
Yeah, because I've asked a few consultants actually on Twitter, and I haven't really had much back, to be honest. And the only information I got was actually Vicky, who spoke to, who knew because her surgeon told her. And
it'd be quite interesting poll, that would.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about fertility in that next month, aren't we? So we'll have to look into that as well. That would be really good.
Right, so it's 4 minutes past 9 and Love Island has been on 4 minutes. But I'm going to watch it +1 because I'm not going to be rude tonight and run off like last time.
Oh, you've just gone down in my
estimations now. It's terrible.
Chris,
it's
seriously,
terrible.
I love that. I hate that. I love it. I can't. My best friend got me onto it, and now I'm absolutely hooked on my. Like I can't.
I will not give it the time of day, just in case I like it. You know
exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't.
I'm not even going to give it a chance.
I I
No
tagged
chance.
Rachel. There's a Love Island game out apparently,
Oh,
and they're looking for people to review it. So I tagged Rachel in it.
Wow.
I don't think I want to put that on my blog. It's like this is kind of private little joke going on. I like Love Island, but I just want to say thank you, Chris, for coming on. Like it's so cool that you're such an inspiration. I think your story just helps a lot of people realize what
It really is brilliant.
not to hold back, and the fact that you've done it so like it's taken me years and years to get to this level. Is you're like 9 months, not even a year. So it's amazing, and I think
Well
that
done, Chris.
it's exciting to see where you'll go from here, because I think things are just with the blog and doing the rugby and Colostomy UK, and you didn't mention the bike ride.
I didn't want to mention
The gentleman's club.
I do. Yeah, there's a ride. There's a charity called the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, who basically support men's mental health and prostate cancer. I did a ride for them last year, 3 days before my surgery, and I've been in touch with them ever since. And I'm their ambassador for this year's ride.
Oh,
Well done.
I've just had a film made that's in the process of being edited this week. It comes out end of July, which is going to basically tell my story and interviews with me and my wife and kids, and had a great week riding a fantastic triumph all around the Welsh Hills and Snowdonia. So when it comes out, it'll be amazing. So
Yeah, make sure you post that up.
Yeah, and
definitely will.
when you post it, I'll share it on my page. We'll share it on the IBD show as well, and we'll share it round, because I think that'd be amazing.
I'll be happy to come on anytime you need me.
Brilliant. Right, thank you, Steve and Natalie, for coming as well.
so
I was worried
Sorry about
at one point.
But Rachel, my argument was, well, you know what? World Cup comes round once every 4 years, and I thought, you know what? If push comes to shove, I'm going to mention Love Island, and then just destroy the argument straight away. So I didn't have to.
No, because that hasn't. No. Let's not do this here. I'll speak to you later.
do you know what? As well, I also saw another thing on Twitter, looking for couples who have rowed about Love Island.
Oh my God, that is us. We have actually rowed about
we haven't rowed about it. I don't watch it. I can't. I haven't got a view on it.
What we've rowed about is the fact that I say that nobody can talk to me, and then I'll be messaging you girls, and then he's like, "You're active. You're active.
You're on."
Oh dear.
Right. We're live. I'm going to press it off in a minute. So thank you for everybody who's watching and all the questions, and I haven't cried tonight, so that's a positive for me. And I'm back to myself, I think. And we will see you next week. I'm not sure what we're covering, but as Nat said, I think it's fertility.
Oh, we're starting fertility. Yeah. Oh my goodness, July's come around quick. Yeah,
it has.
July even is fertility month, and we're going to be talking about all different stuff to do with that. But I'll post it on the group because I've forgotten what I've put down for next week.
Cool, brilliant. So we'll say bye and see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks, Chris.